Spygate, Bountygate, Deflate-gate. Which scandal was worse for the NFL? Welcome to the Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. These are the three recent scandals in the NFL that I'm going to cover and try to decide which is worse. There's been a lot of talk over the last week with the incident in the AFC Championship game last week about these three scandals. And so we're going to decide which is worse. Starting with Spygate. Spygate was actually revealed in September 9th of 2007. If you haven't heard of Spygate, which the vast majority of football fans have, it was when the New England Patriots illegally filmed a practice and walkthrough of the New York Jets. Eric Mangini, the then head coach of the Jets, former assistant of the New England Patriots, turned Belichick's staff in to the NFL about illegally filming them during a practice and a walkthrough. As the investigation went on, according to Matt Walsh, a video assistant for the New England Patriots from 2001 to 2002, he was actually fired after the 2002 season, that they had videotape of games and walkthrough practices dating back as far as 2000. There was a lot of talk of the 2001 Super Bowl. So after the 2001 season, so early 2000, January 2002, which was the New England Patriots and St. Louis Rams, that there was supposed to be video of the practice and the walkthrough, and that's why New England ended up winning the game. Matt Walsh, the video assistant, denied that tape existed. Through the NFL's investigation, that tape did not exist. But in 2008, Matt Walsh actually sat down with the NFL and wanted immunity for everything, which received. He turned in the NFL 8 tapes of practices that the Patriots had filmed. In the statement from Bill Belichick, he didn't know that it was illegal to do that. He said he's done it his whole career and he didn't know he couldn't do it. Belichick and the Patriots received a fine. Belichick was fined $500,000 for those tapes. The Patriots were fined $250,000, and the Patriots lost their first-round draft pick. Roger Goodell of the NFL told a U.S. Senator, Arian Specter, that Belichick said he had done it since 2000. During the 2008-2011, so we're talking right after Spygate, during the Spygate allegations, up until then, the Patriots were 48-16. The Steelers and the Saints were second in the NFL at 45-19. So during the era when Belichick supposedly did all these Spygate tapes, the Patriots won 69.3% of the games. After the Spygate incident, the Patriots won 75.6% of the games. So obviously it sounds like whatever knowledge that Belichick and the Patriots were able to get from Spygate didn't really help them much. Spygate added another twist in 2010 when the Broncos and their head coach, Josh McDaniels, who was Belichick's assistant from 2001 to 2008, was each fined $50,000 after the Broncos video director Steve Scarnacci videoed the 49ers on October 30, 2010 in London. Scarnacci is the son of New England's offensive line coach Dante Scarnacci, who was a video assistant for New England in 2001-2004. And then he was fired after that. So obviously ties to New England were in Denver doing the same thing. Was that, obviously it gives the person, whoever's doing the taping, a unfair advantage because they're stealing their signs and stuff. But obviously the Patriots weren't able to win that many more games. Actually, they won less games when they supposedly were taping their opponents versus when they weren't. So either means they were really, really bad at it, or they were throwing games to, you know, it's just like in baseball when you steal the other team's signs. Sometimes you throw the runner out, sometimes you don't. I mean, it's just part of the game, you know. Yes, it is cheating, but if you're able to steal signs without video like practice, if you're able to do it during the game, is it still considered cheating? Bounty-gate is the other scandal we're going to discuss here, the second and the third scandals. Bounty-gate was from 2009 to 2012, which involved the New Orleans Saints and their defensive coordinator Greg Williams, who was paying players, and which started a pot in the locker room among the defense. They were paying players to injure other players and to knock them out of games. Some of the players that were involved as targets during the bounty scandal: Brett Favre, Kurt Warner, Aaron Rodgers, and Cam Newton. Saints linebacker Jonathan Vilma, which is one of the key suspects during this whole thing, put a $10,000 into a pot and give to anyone who took Brett Favre out of the NFC Championship game. Now, all the hits that were involved with the bounty scandal were never flagged on the field for a legal hit. They were never, at all. They're all completely legal NFL hits. I really have an issue with the fact that you tell somebody, I will give you money to hurt this player, to knock this player out of the game. You're not only risking a chance to hurt yourself by hurting that player, you're going to hurt that player and take their livelihood away from them. Not only take their livelihood of playing football away from them, you can injure them, you could permanently injure them, and third of all, you could kill them. I've seen NFL hits that were legal hits, mind you, where people's helmets got knocked off. You hit your head on the ground with enough force, you could die from it. So not only did Jonathan Vilma, Anthony Hargrove, Will Smith, and Scott Fujiti, not only did these players try to purposely harm somebody, they could have killed somebody on the field doing that, which is so unethical. It's not even worth talking about. But Jonathan Vilma was suspended for the entire 2012 season. Anthony Hargrove was suspended 8 games. Will Smith was suspended 4 games. And Scott Fahidi, whatever his name is, was suspended for 3 games. It didn't stop there. Defensive coordinator Greg Williams was suspended indefinitely. How he was allowed back in the NFL after this video that was shown on ESPN of what this guy was doing in the locker room, how he's been reinstated and he's a coach in the NFL again, is a bunch of malarkey. Sean Payton, the head coach, was suspended for a year. The GM was suspended for 8 games, Mickey Loomis, and Joe Vitt, the assistant head coach, who was supposed to be the interim head coach while Payton was out, was also suspended 8 games. All these coaches were in on it. All these players were in on it. They're trying to hurt other players. Purposely trying to injure someone has no part in sports. And third, we have Deflate-gate, which obviously we all know the AFC Championship game on Sunday, where each team was issued 12 footballs. 11 of the 12 footballs issued to the New England Patriots were 2 pounds less than air than the law allows, what the legal limit is for the NFL. I think the whole thing with the Deflate-gate was done by the NFL. I blame the NFL for it. The NFL is completely at fault. If the NFL did not want the story to get as big as it is, they could have stopped it. And I'll tell you why. While doing research for this, I found out that the Colts and the Ravens both suspected the Patriots deliberately underinflating the balls for illegal advantage. The Colts took control of 2 footballs thrown by Brady and intercepted by Mike Adams during a regular season game on November 16, 2014. So if the Colts had Patriot footballs in November that were underinflated, and the NFL did nothing about it, and then during the first half of this game, DeQuail Jackson intercepted Brady, gave the ball to the equipment manager as a souvenir, and that equipment manager took it to the general manager, who took it to the NFL. Then the NFL took the 12 balls from the Patriots and swept them out with 12 other balls. So the Patriots only played with these underinflated balls for the first half of the game. The first half, at halftime, the game was 17-7 Patriots. The Patriots scored 4 touchdowns in the second half. So you're telling me that the Patriots were only as good as the inflated or de-inflated balls, and they scored 4 touchdowns and to win the game 45-7 in the second half, and the Colts scored 0? I think not. Obviously, these balls were underinflated. It is an NFL rule that the footballs have to have a certain pounds per pressure in them. Bill Belichick denied knowing anything about it. Tom Brady denied knowing anything about it. Here's what I think happened. I think whomever, either be the NFL or the Patriots, underinflated these, let the air out of these balls. If the NFL would take it upon themselves to have somebody at the stadium with the NFL to control these balls. You hand footballs to each team. You're telling me, since they started this rule in 2012, no other team has ever thought about doing something to that football to get an advantage over their opponent. I call bullshit if you actually believe that. Anybody in that position that's trying to get an unfair advantage against their opponent would do something similar. You're telling me the 30 teams that are not currently in the Super Bowl would not trade a fine and possible loss of a draft pick to be a chance to win the Super Bowl? You Cleveland Browns fans out there, you're telling me they wouldn't trade a draft pick and $1 million to be in the Super Bowl? Jacksonville Jaguar fans, you telling me you wouldn't do the same thing? St. Louis Rams fans, you're telling me they wouldn't do the same thing, or if it had a chance to get in the Super Bowl? There are honest people out there, don't get me wrong. Would I personally do it? I don't know. Would I immediately disgruntle a team that I was a fan of because they did this? I don't know. But I will say this, the NFL created this, the NFL condoned this, and it's all the NFL's fault. All they have to do is have 16 employees of the NFL, one at each stadium, each game site, to control the balls. None of this would have happened. If they knew about this on November 16th, and they did nothing about it until now, I think the NFL is in conspiracy to create cash. Conspiracy to create cash. The more talk about the Super Bowl and about the teams in the Super Bowl, the more people are going to watch it. The higher the ratings will be. The more revenue they can charge for the commercials. It's all about cash. Controversy creates cash. Thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and enjoy the Pro Bowl this weekend. Enjoy WWE Royal Rumble. Check out Robert Sports Show for a Royal Rumble preview. And like I said, controversy creates cash.